Okay, so today we're going to use a pixel shader, and we are going to do a hyper-realistic hair stroke look with this. And then we have two different ink rings here. This is about a level or two lighter, and it's more diluted, and then this is a more pigmented and a little bit darker. So we're going to do our hair strokes with the darker, and we're going to do our shading with the lighter. It's going to be a two-tone, super textured look. Can't wait to show you. Okay, we're gonna start by putting in our quote-unquote hair strokes, and this is done by, instead of doing little mini slices, we are actually just doing taps to form a hair stroke pattern. So for example, here we're going to tap two taps, tap tap, and then we're going to slightly curve and tap tap. We're gonna do the same thing here. Tap, tap, slightly curve, tap, tap. So we're just forming a stroke, the appearance of a stroke, but with our pixel blade. Are you okay pain-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap. So you're just continuing on trying to make these be fluid. I'm gonna have you move this just a little bit. I'm so sorry. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome. And because the ink is a little bit diluted, it's hard to work super cleanly. So if you can't picture the pattern that you're placing, then go ahead and stop and wipe, especially with using my miracle marker and brow lock and everything. You can wipe as much as you need to really be able to see. This is going to be a lot less trauma to the skin. So I think that's going to be our first pass for these little micro strokes, micro pixel strokes. So I'm going to wipe this up and see what we got so far. But I am going to just with my micro tip really work in the pigment. I always use baby wipes, and I just realized right now that I'm out, so I hate that so much, but we really use tissues. I just love baby wipes. It just gets the pigment off so much easier, darn it. That's okay. goodness. This is a crazy amount of wiping, sorry. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on a little bit of secondary numbing. And then we're gonna work on this other side. All right, we're just gonna do the same thing with this side. So we're gonna start here and do a tap, tap, and then tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. I'm just following her natural brow flow here and choosing this pattern. And these strokes are a lot more spaced than traditional microblading strokes. I shouldn't call them strokes, but the coolest part about this is that you can overlap, so you don't have to, you can have your strokes really meet together. We should call them faux strokes. What should we call them, guys? Okay, so there's that brow. I'm gonna go ahead and just get off the pigment, put on her secondary, and then we'll work on the other brow. So what we have so far is just these super delicate kind of textured strokes going on. So, so now what I'm going to do is try to just go over the exact same ones a second time. So, and they're soft, but I can still see them. So I'm just tapping more pigment into those same little textured strokes we're creating. And this one's really light, so I'm gonna do 3 taps there. And just like your second passes with microblading, it is a little bit hard to see those strokes, so just take your time and find them. And I'm gonna add one more kind of in between here. And depth is still important, but the high-low portion of these blades kind of helps you, it makes the needle catch on the shorter needles. So it kind of helps force that like perfect measured depth. And granted, you know, you will have some thinner skin that you'll need to do lighter pressure, and some thicker skin you'll need to do heavier pressure, but it really helps get that pigment to that correct measure mark. Like imagine if with the microblading while slicing it magically kind of had a training wheel that stopped you at a certain depth. That's what you get with these pixel shaders. It's amazing. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and put on a little bit of secondary, and then put some plastic over it, and let that kind of mask for a little bit. And I think that's all we'll do with this darker tone, and then we'll move to just overall pixel shading on the rest of the brow. All right, so same thing here. We just have some really nice, pretty soft texture in there right now. So we're gonna go ahead and just clean up and get a little more pigment into what we just put in. So we're just going prick, 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 prick. And I'm diluting, I diluted this with 2 drops of shading solution. If you wanted like really crispness in these strokes, you could even just go like 1 drop, like just enough to help it transition off your blade and down into the skin. Or if you want a softer look, you can do this with more dilution. And you want to try to still get a good stretch. The more the skin is bouncing, the less stability it has. So you do want to try to get it to bounce as little as possible. Side note, how awesome is our outline still right now, aside from the fact that I don't have my baby wipes, so the brow lock isn't properly, it's still like a little stained right now, but whatever. These are really soft, so I'm gonna try to get just a little more pigment in there. Okie doke. And this is probably all we're gonna do for hair strokes. Lovely. So we're just gonna do the same thing, do a little ink mask with this, and then coat a little bit of secondary, and we'll move back over to our other side. Okay, oh my gosh, just a tiny bit of our line came off, and I'm so sad. It's because I'm like having to scrub it with those tissues. It's like such a bad day to run out of, oh well, anyways. Okay, so we want to kind of keep these more ombre, so more pigmented through the tails and less through the centers. So now we're just going to start with shading, and I'm going to actually work outward in. And I'm going to add this in between our other strokes. And we're just going to start shading. And this is quite a bit more diluted. And seriously, probably one pass of this and we should be good to go. So after this, I'm gonna go ahead and do a pigment mask. I actually call them a pigment bake. I add a little bit of A&D ointment. Sorry, I'm getting more messy. And by doing that, the A&D helps push the pigment down into the skin. Okay, and now as I work this way, I'm going to start tilting my blade and kind of tapering off as I work towards the center. The reason I'm doing that again is to help give that more ombre look. So I'm kind of spacing it more as we work towards the center. Oh my gosh, I am seriously so messy right now, I'm sorry. And there might be a few little perfecting things, but I think this brow is gonna be done. So I'm just going to rub in that pigment a little bit, and then like I said, put some A&D on there, and we should be good to go. Oh, this is looking fabulous. Okay, so we're just gonna do the same thing, get some shading in here, guys. And I'm just kind of pivoting. You want to try to work at the same angle that your strokes are. And again, we're starting to kind of taper off through the center to give that nice ombre look. So we're just going to do a little bit through here, nothing much. Okay, and same thing, we'll just put some A&D on there, let it mask. I'll leave this one for 5 minutes. I'm gonna take off this one because it's already been sitting for 5. And taking off the The brow lock is super easy. You literally just peel it. Doop, doop, doop. It's amazing. So I'll just peel off the brow lock, clean her up, and we'll show you her after scan.